Now the two armies have lined up against each other. Paris, who is also known as Alexandros, springs from the front of the Trojan line and begins challenging the best of the Greeks to fight him. Paris is the brother of Hector and the son of Priam. He is the main reason that the Achaeans have come, for it was he who took Helen from Sparta and from Menelaus. Menelaus spots Paris swaggering around in front of the Trojan lines and begins to thirst for revenge. He leaps down from his chariot fully armed. But as soon as Paris sees Menelaus, he panics and shrinks back from the Trojan lines. At this, Hector begins to go off on his brother. "Paris, appalling Paris, our prince of beauty, mad for women, you lure them all to ruin. Would to God you'd never been born, died unwed, that's all I'd ask. Better that way by far than to have you strutting here, an outrage, a mockery in the eyes of all our enemies. Why, the long-haired Achaeans must be roaring with laughter. They thought you the bravest champion we could field, and just because of the handsome luster on your limbs. But you have no pith, no fighting strength inside you. What? Is this the man who mustered the oarsmen once, who braved the seas in his racing deep-sea ships, trafficked with outlanders, carried off a woman far from her distant shores, a great beauty wed to the land of rugged spearmen? You! Curse to your father, your city, and all your people, a joy to our enemies, rank disgrace to yourself. So, you can't stand up to the battling Menelaus? You'd soon feel his force, that man you robbed of his sumptuous warm wife. No use to you then, the fine lyre and these gifts of Aphrodite, your long flowing locks and your striking looks, not when you roll and couple with the dust. What cowards, the men of Troy! Or years ago they'd have decked you in a suit of rocky armor, stoned you to death for all the wrongs you've done." And Paris responds, "Ah, Hector, you criticize me fairly, yes, nothing unfair, beyond what I deserve. The heart inside you is always tempered hard, like an axe that goes through wood when a shipwright cuts our ship timbers with every ounce of skill, and the blade's weight drives the man's stroke. So the heart inside your chest is never daunted. Still, don't fling in my face the lovely gifts of golden Aphrodite, not to be tossed aside, the gifts of the gods, these glories. Whatever the gods give of their own free will, how could we ever choose them for ourselves? Now, though, if you really want me to fight to the finish here, have all Trojans and Argives take their seats, and pit me against Menelaus dear to Ares, right between the lines. We'll fight it out for Helen and all her wealth, and the one who proves the better man and wins, he'll take those treasures fairly, lead the woman home. The rest will seal in blood their binding pacts of friendship. Our people will live in peace on the rich soil of Troy. Our enemies sail home to the stallion land of Argos, the land of Achaea, where the women are a wonder." Hector rejoices because of this and begins walking in front of the Trojan lines between the two armies. The archers of the Achaeans shoot arrows at Hector, trying to cut him down, but Agamemnon cries out and orders them to stop. The Greeks stop, and then silence ensues. Hector then speaks and tells that Paris has offered to fight Menelaus in single combat. The winner will take Helen and all her treasures home. Menelaus then speaks. He points out the many casualties that both sides have suffered and agrees to fight Paris after an oath is sworn on the conditions of the duel. Both armies then relax and hope that this will end the war. Hector sends heralds to Troy to retrieve lambs for sacrifice and to tell his father, Priam, what is happening. Agamemnon sends a herald to the Achaean ships to also get a lamb. Iris then goes to Helen and tells her that Paris and Menelaus are about to fight in single combat. Helen is filled with a deep yearning to return to her home and husband. She leaves her room and goes atop the ramparts above the main gate of Troy. As she is up there, two older men of Troy, seeing her, say to each other, Who on earth could blame them? Ah, no wonder the men of Troy and Argives under arms have suffered years of agony all for her, for such a woman. Beauty, terrible beauty, a deathless goddess, so she strikes our eyes, but still, ravishing as she is, let her go home in the long ships and not be left behind, for us and our children down the years in irresistible sorrow. Priam is up on the ramparts with Helen and asks her to point out the Achaeans. Come over here, dear child, sit in front of me so you can see your husband of long ago, your kinsmen and your people. I don't blame you, I hold the gods to blame. They are the ones who brought this war upon me, devastating war against the Achaeans. Here, come closer, tell me the name of that tremendous fighter. Look! Who's that Achaean there, so stark and grand? Many others afield are much taller, true, but I have never yet set eyes on one so regal, so majestic. That man must be a king. And Helen responds, I revere you so, dear father, dread you too, if only death had pleased me then, grim death. That day I followed your son to Troy, forsaking my marriage bed, my kinsman and my child, my favorite, now full grown, and the lovely comradeship of women my own age. Death never came, so now I can only waste away in tears. But about your question, yes, I have the answer. That man is Atreus' son, Agamemnon, lord of empires, both a mighty king and a strong spearman too. And he used to be my kinsman, whore that I am. There was a world, or was it all a dream? Helen's voice breaks, and Priam, in wonder, remarks at how lucky Agamemnon is to be able to field such a large army. Priam then asks about another of the Achaeans, Odysseus. Helen tells him and says that Odysseus is quick at every treachery under the sun, the man of twists and turns. Antenor, a most trusted adviser of Priam, recalls when Menelaus and Odysseus came to ask for Helen's release. Antenor says that Menelaus spoke quickly and was short about it, but Odysseus could really speak well, comparing his words to a blizzard. Priam then asks about Ajax the Great. Helen tells him and then goes on about the other Achaeans, all of which she says she can name. Helen then wonders where her two brothers are, and Homer the poet tells us that they are long dead. A herald then comes and tells Priam that he is needed on the plain to seal the oaths. Priam shudders at this, but gets in a chariot with Antenor and drives down through the Scaean gates to the plain. When they arrive, they are greeted by Agamemnon, and various rituals are carried out. Agamemnon then, with arms lifted, prays, Father Zeus, ruling over all us from Ida, God of greatness, God of glory, Helios, sun above us, you who see all, hear all things, rivers and earth, and you beneath the ground who punish the dead, whoever breaks this oath, be witness here, protect our binding pacts. If Paris brings Menelaus down in blood, he keeps Helen himself and all her wealth, and we sail home in our racing deep-sea ships. But if red-haired Menelaus brings down Paris, the Trojans surrender Helen and all her treasures, and they pay us reparations fair and fitting, a price to inspire generations still to come. But if Priam and Priam's sons refuse to pay, refuse me, Agamemnon, with Paris beaten down, then I myself will fight it out for the ransom, all battle here to the end of our long war. Agamemnon then cuts the lambs' throats and pours wine on the earth. Homer tells us that you could hear the Trojans and Achaeans saying, Zeus, God of greatness, God of glory, all you immortals, whichever contenders trample on this tree first, spill their brains on the ground as this wine spills. Theirs, their children's too, their enemies rape their wives. Priam then leaves, saying, Hear me, Trojans, Achaeans, geared for combat, home I go to windy Ilium, straight home now. This is more that I can bear, I tell you. to watch my son do battle with Menelaus, loved by the war god, right before my eyes. Zeus knows, no doubt, and every immortal too, which fighter is doomed to end all this in death. Menelaus and Paris then fight it out. Menelaus should win, but the gods intervene. Aphrodite comes and sweeps Paris away back to his bedroom in Troy. The goddess of love then goes to Helen and tells her that Paris is waiting for her in the bedroom. Helen, however, bursts out at Aphrodite and tells her that she will never share his bed again. Aphrodite threatens Helen, and she obeys, goes off to the bedroom, where she lashes out at Paris. "So, home from the wars! Oh, would to God you die there, brought down by that great soldier, my husband long ago. And how you used to boast, year in, year out, that you were the better man than fighting Menelaus in power, arm, and spear. So why not go back now, hurl your challenge at Menelaus dear to Ares, fight it out together, man to man again. Wait, take my advice and call a halt right here. No more battling with fiery-haired Menelaus, pitting strength against strength in single combat. Madness! He might just impale you on his spear." And Paris responds, "No more, dear one. Don't rake me with your taunts, myself and all my courage. This time, true, Menelaus has won the day, thanks to Athena. I'll bring him down tomorrow. Even we have gods who battle on our side. But come, let's go to bed. Let's lose ourselves in love. Never has longing for you overwhelmed me so. No, not even then, I tell you, that first time when I swept you up from the lovely hills of Lacedaemon, sailed you off and away in the racing deep-sea ships when we went and locked in love on Rocky Island. That was nothing to how I hunger for you now. Irresistible longing lays me low." While Helen and Paris make love, Menelaus stalks the lines in rage, looking for Paris. He is nowhere to be found. Agamemnon calls out the Trojans and tells them that Menelaus has won, that Helen must be given back, and reparations must be paid. The Achaeans roar with assent.